Hello, everybody. Hi. I've been told to, yes, thank you, to whistle, which I can't do, and to give a visual signal. So I'm waving my arm and saying, hello, assembled leaders. May I have your attention, please? With time. Thank you. Hope everyone had a great break. Hope people had the right level of caffeine and are ready to come back to a good conversation. So I've been asked to just focus on the next step in front of us. So the next step in front of us, well, we did that already. We already did our break. And now we're still in the facilitated exercise. And then I'm reminding us of this, the where you are missing information. That is helpful and that is useful to know. That itself is information. And now this is what we are working on in our table groups, prioritizing solutions. So the question we're trying to answer is not what are the top priority solutions that we want to advocate for. That question is far too difficult to answer in this room today. We want other information. We want to discover what does it feel like to try and prioritize winners, best bets, favorites, most impactful solutions from the long list that we were discussing before the break. So, I hear, one of the questions we heard is, what if we disagree with the premise of the question? So I'd like to understand that better, and I will restate it for folks who can't hear it in the room.
What does it feel like to try and prioritize winners? That assumes winners and losers. No one in this room should feel like their idea is a loser because we all want to win at the same pace, right?
Yes, so the question is, if I could characterize it, and you can tell me if I've got it or not. Let's not be talking about solutions and people's ideas as winners and losers, right? Because everyone put some careful thought into the things that they proposed in the last step. So what do we do about that? One, I, Adrienne, digest that lesson and say that's spicy language. So I'll restate it a bit and say, going back to the idea that if you're forming a coalition or striking it on your own and you're asking government to do something, you have to have some set closed number of things that you're asking government to do, right? Because that way you can push them to it, they can agree to it, it can be a known and finite thing. So, which are the solutions that you want to put on that finite list? Embedded in what you were saying is that there are some really good solutions that might not be the top priority for your policy influencing. Some really good and important things. So that kind of brings me back to, this is about, the lesson here is not what is the objectively correct top 5 things to do. The lesson is, we're sitting in our regions, in our provinces and territories. Some of us are gonna have to work together to ask for things from the government. How do we start finding agreement about that, what belongs on that finite list? So this is why it's focusing on the feeling, the process, etc. And thank you for the note about the word winners. I appreciate that. Okay. So success at this stage in this exercise in this room, what does it look like? It means starting to understand where there's agreement and disagreement about how to prioritize. This is the hard one. I hope you had a lot of coffee. I hope you really had some nice chips and cookies, because this one is where you see where you disagree and you work through that disagreement in a way that is collaborative and productive. And I'm going to pause for further questions or thoughts. I'll also be walking around so we can all work this through together And I'd ask our friends by the side of the room if I could have, for me, a 25-minute timer just here. Thank you. Hello, Canadian Autism Leadership Summit 2024. Hello. Hello, everyone. Leaders, Canadian autism leaders here at the summit. Hi, can I have your attention, please? Thank you. So appreciated. Thank you very much. I promise you that was difficult. Maybe I was wrong, but that was a very important step to model and practice in terms of thinking about how to influence public policy in your provinces and territories. We're moving into the fourth and final stage of our analysis today, but I'm going to invite us just for a second to reflect that we have been in this room all day. We are nearing the end of our day together, and maybe consider what you might want to do to find energy and enthusiasm for this last 25-minute chunk. For me, that might look like standing up and shaking or doing something, taking a breath, looking at the ceiling, whatever. Just finding a way to bring a little bit of new energy to this last piece, because this one is very practical, and I think some of the tips we have for this one are really useful across a bunch of different applications. So, the last step that we suggest for trying to influence public policy is to take one of the solutions you've talked about today. It is your choice at your table whether that is one of the solutions implied by the discussion that you just had, or if it is truly any solution. By solution, we can say it another way: a policy idea, a particular change, a specific thing you want government to do. So take one, and we're going to refine it, we're going to articulate it, and make it sort of ready for delivery to government to the extent that we can within these 25 minutes. So, the question that this last little chapter asks is, how do you articulate a specific solution to make it ready for government action? How do you do that? And the answer is informed in part by these prompts, right? So remember, we want it to be something that is specific. So X person or actor, part of government, whatever, should do Y thing, and they should do it by I don't think my letters are lining up with what it says on the slide. Thank you, Z. That's what comes next. Thank you, Maddie. At Z time, or in Z way, etc. Just very specific: who, what, where, when, how, and then Y comes later. It should be measurable. Is the way that you're asking for this thing gonna let you know whether you've got it or not? Whether it's progressing properly or not? Whether government is doing a good job of it or not? And then understandable, and this is understandable from the perspective of government. Is it articulated in terms of their priorities, their language, and their values? Is it something that they can see and say, oh yeah, that's something we would do. That's an us kind of thing to do. And then relatedly, but separately, is it practical? Meaning, if you can imagine what they're gonna, if you can imagine going to a decision maker within government and them saying, well, that's all very nice, but I can't because, what's the response to that, right? They might say it's too expensive. But what's the response to that? How do you point out that, in fact, this is practical in a way that's aligned with the way they measure that? So, to summarize here, and so success at this stage means taking one solution, which we can also call one policy idea, one change, one ask, one recommendation, one thing, and apply these questions to it to try and make it stronger and ready for action. You'll be shocked to learn we have 25 minutes to do this, and I will give you a 7-minute warning. And after that, we're just going to conclude the session together. Thank you. Hi folks, hello. Hi, thank you. there's been a revised plan. 10 minutes. This is what people are telling me. I'm looking for the thumbs up from over there. Still 10 minutes. Yes, 10 minutes. I mean, you all know you're allowed to stay in this room as like pretty much as long as you want, right? But the idea is that I think some people are losing steam, and we don't want to force people to stay. So 10 minutes, and then optional. Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. I'll do that too. I'm going to mirror you a bit. Yep, stretching. Hi, everyone. That was your 10 minutes. So that was our last of 4 steps. Our suggested, you can call them analytical steps. You can call them building blocks. But this is the path which you would take to do public policy influencing. I'm just going to keep talking until we have a little bit more quiet. There was that person who made that loud noise before. If you want to do that again, that would be cool. Ow! No. Hi, everyone. See, that's effective. Thanks, everyone. We're going to close this session out by thinking about what the next steps are. So that was a practice run of if you wanted to get together in a new combination across your provinces and territories and try and ask in a new way. Not that you haven't been asking and you haven't been trying, but like try in a new combination of people through a specific set of steps to make a big or small ask of your provincial or territorial governments. What would those steps be, and what might it feel like in a sort of diorama-sized version of real life? That's what we tried to do this afternoon. So we're not creating action plans, but we're understanding what it feels like to do this work. And AAC is, I'm not AAC, this is AAC, Jonathan and Deep and everyone else in the room from AAC, from the board and from the staff. They are committed to supporting folks across the country in thinking about how to do policy influencing. And so there might be opportunities to do more of this work together and be in contact with AAC about what that could look like. I want to say thank you for working with me this afternoon. My name, as I said before, is Adrienne Lipsey. I'm from Springboard Policy. I started this company with a co-founder to help organizations and people outside government make public policy better, and it's really encouraging to see so many people in one room giving so much effort to do that. So thank you for your time this morning. Thank you for your time this afternoon. It's been a real pleasure.
Great, thanks, Adrienne. We did cut this a little shorter. I know people are tired. It's been a long day. There's not a lot of sunlight, but I can't solve that because it's cloud coverage as much as roof. Just to mention, this work we're doing. I hope we're able to bring something back when you go back home in terms of the way of thinking, the way of approaching, and some of the materials. So the facilitators, what they have are notes that we will take back, and we're going to try to digest and use and really find common ground, as we always do every year, to really guide what we need to do moving forward. We're anticipating the national strategy, what's going to happen, how we create that alignment at the provincial territorial levels. So that's really important. I wanted to mention, so this session was brought to you by the Joyce Family Foundation and the Hamilton Health Sciences Foundation, and along with the Cine Family Foundation. Some people were wondering about the new NCA, see that logo there? Those who weren't there at the announcement yesterday, they've collaborated, come together to match $5 million from the Joyce Family Foundation to establish the National Center for Autism Collaboration. It's going to be an initiative of the Alliance to really bring research, community voice together to inform policy. So really grateful for this gift to really help drive the national strategy and drive the implementation of the strategies. So really exciting for us. So that's what that logo is. So thanks, thank you. And it's really to elevate the voices in this room. It's not about us. Us is you. It's not Jonathan. I'm just one person up here to interrupt conversations and keep the show going, but it's really your voices that make a difference. It's our collective voice that really has made change over these past 10 years and will continue to do so. So, as I was mentioning, why we cut early, because there's a cash bar downstairs and food available at the Community Showcase. There you go. That's where the applause should be, right? So, Community Showcase. So there were different submissions that that came through. There was lived experience, organizational displays, and academic posters downstairs. Light refreshments, yes, cash bar. That's when the buzz started in the room as I keep talking. So, one thing we do want to highlight: there is a release of a new report from the Public Health Agency of Canada, a funded survey that we at the Alliance partnered on about the effects of the pandemic of COVID-19 on autistic adults, caregivers, and their children who live in Canada. Many of the organizations in this room partnered on disseminating that work, so please, one of the posters by Steve Gentles, he'll be downstairs to talk about that. Also downstairs, there's an opportunity for testimonials about the summit. If you want to give any public feedback about what you've been doing, what you've been learning, that would be extremely helpful. So last thing for trainees that are part of the Alliance, there is a breakfast tomorrow morning in the room next door. Just come. It's an informal time to connect with other trainees and kind of grow our capacity together as a country. So that's all from me. So you're off and enjoy the evening. Thank you.